Hey there, welcome to another video here on this Esoteric Circle YouTube channel. Pete Haskins here, and wherever you are at on your journey, blessings to you. I'm coming to you with another reading and exploration of my memoir about my dad, The Long Dark Hallway, and it is on Amazon. I'll put that link in the comments and in the description. But I just rediscovered this. I wrote this after my dad's passing in 2019, and got this published in 2020. So just kind of going through it and really wanting to share with you some of the things that I've learned from this, because our karma and the exploration of that karma, in the really getting into the depths of your past, your personal past, and how important that is to your current spiritual goal, your cosmic job. You cannot get past your own past. We have to face that. And how do we do that? So I'm going to read some of this here in a minute and just connect with you about this book and the energy that it is giving me, and I want to share this with you. So, I count you as a friend, and I appreciate your presence here, and I just want to share this with you. This has been very profound in my life, this book, and I want to share this with you. Blessings to you, wherever you're at on your journey. Blessings. I used to write in the attic of an old Victorian home that we owned. We painted it beautiful shades of blue. The Painted Lady. It was built in 1904. We called it Big Blue. And it was well known in that little town of Vincennes, Indiana, as being kind of an anomaly, because I painted it blue. Because everything else in Vincennes was gray or brown or white. And it was boring. So we painted it blue, and I used to write, I wrote like 6 books up in that attic. And this was one of them, The Long Dark Hallway. And I processed through, just really drove home this pursuit of what did it mean? My dad died. What did it mean? And I really explored this. And there's just so many themes in this little 100-page book that I want to share with you. So I'm going to read to you. So let me I'm almost to the end here. This is it's very influenced by a guy named Charles Olson, this book. Charles Olson, who wrote, let's see if I have it. I do have it. This is one of my favorite books. This is called Call Me Ishmael by Charles Olson. This is a study of Melville by Charles Olson. And this is a fantastic book of literary criticism. Yeah, it is the best. I just cannot recommend Charles Olson any higher. He was a poet from Melville's old stomping ground back east, and oh my gosh. So this little book that I wrote is really impacted by Charles Olson, the poet. So I'm just going to read to you. This is number 11, chapter 11, February 22nd, 2019, 9:43 a.m. Charles Bojidar Ashton coming in last and taking him over, right? This occurring hours before his actual death, talking about my dad. Then I quote Philo and the essay on the life of Moses, part 2. Philo of Alexandria, who was born 20 BCE and he died around 50 CE, was a contemporary of Jesus and Paul. He was a Jew living in and writing in Alexandria, Egypt, as a member of the large Jewish diaspora. Although he was a Jew and interested in the interpretation of Judaism for a non-Jewish world, his writings contain some amazing spiritual insights. I stumbled upon some fascinating stuff in a book called The Works of Philo, published by Hendrickson in 93, with an introduction by David M. Scholler. The writing entitled On the Life of Moses 2, he speaks of the process of death which Moses experienced and the overwhelming outpouring of grief which the entire nation exhibited. Philo writes, "For when he was now on the point of being taken away and was standing at the very starting place, as it were," he's talking about Moses, "that he might fly away and complete his journey to heaven, he was once more inspired and filled with the Holy Spirit. And while still alive, he prophesied admirably what should happen to himself after his death, relating, that is, how he had died when he was not as yet dead, and how he was buried without anyone being present so as to know of his tomb, because in fact he was entombed not by mortal hands, but by immortal powers, so that he was not placed in the tomb of his forefathers, having met with particular grace, which no man ever saw." All right, when Philo speaks of Moses being dead, but not as yet dead, what is he speaking of? "I know that since my father's death, I feel his presence with me." Today, as I write this, or as I wrote this, today is December 14th, 2019. It is this co-penetration that Charles Ashton spoke about, I'm sure of it. To be buried without anyone being present, to be entombed by immortal powers. Are these just words which represent no other reality, or are they signposts to a future beyond the time that I am buried in, that I wallow in day after day on this melting ball spinning through space like a rocket, but all I feel now is the motionlessness of this dark December morning? Christianity is long gone. That mother's embrace is in our past, and now as I walk away, I realize that it never was as I had imagined. Then I ask, what was it? What was that embrace, if not for comfort and security and safety? Surely my identity as a human is more than a desire to be taken care of, more than the needs of Maslow and his hierarchy. Where is the self-actualization and the desire for my peak experiences, which Maslow speaks of? Isn't this what he speaks of when he implies that the existence of these peak experiences is the moving past these childish desires to be taken care of? Can we have spiritual evolution while still in this body? I ask because I desire this, but also because I wonder, can I truly experience any bit of reality while I am here, in this flesh? Is this the message of the cross? To unzip the soul from the flesh and jump over that last chasm, that octave which Gurdjieff spoke of. I believe, as Nietzsche did, that there will always be room for true Christianity. But has there really been just a few true Christians? Those folk following in the footsteps of Jesus and John the Baptist and Ezekiel and Paul and Meister Eckhart and Teilhard de Chardin and Thomas Merton, Charles Ashton and Robin Amos, and Campbell and D.H. Lawrence and Yeats. In a 1973 reprint of Everyman's Library edition of D.H. Lawrence, Stories, Essays, and Poems, Desmond Hawkins does a wonderful job in the introduction as he speaks of D.H. Lawrence's intuition that Western civilization had reached its apex of development. Hawkins writes, quote, "Increasingly, Lawrence became an explorer of the flow and recoil in the world about him. Ridiculing the Fabian belief in progressive intellectualism, Lawrence maintained that in Europe an excessive mental refinement had impoverished the blood, the vital flow and recoil of emotion. He believed that Christian civilization was in ultimate decay, and that we were waiting for new gods to appear and to initiate a fresh cycle, a belief which has much in common with the theory of Yeats. Accordingly, Lawrence turned away from Europe and began his travels, exploring people and places throughout the world with such sensitivity in the spirit of place as only genius can display. Lawrence saw not only living people, but the ghosts that stand behind them, the vestiges of old religions. Joseph Campbell knew this well. I have highly valued Campbell's books on my bookshelves. One in particular, entitled The Masks of God, Primitive Mythology, was purchased on November 4th, 1989, 5:53 p.m. at Castleton's Borders Books in Northeast Indianapolis. Midway through the book, Campbell, who loved Nietzsche as much as any philosopher or writer he ever spoke of, speaks at the end of the section of shamanism, regarding the violent and confusing transition from the Paleolithic to the Neolithic periods with these words, end quote. This is from Campbell. Oh, it's great. The prophecy is the same as that of the Eddic twilight of the gods, when Loki will lead forth the rugged hosts of hell. Then shall happen what seems great tidings. The wolf shall swallow the sun, and this shall seem to men a great harm. Then the other wolf shall seize the moon, and he also shall work great ruin. The stars shall vanish from the heavens. Then shall come to pass these tidings also. All the earth shall tremble so, and the crags, that trees shall be torn up from the earth, and the crags fall to ruin, and all fetters and bonds shall be broken and rent. And Fenris wolf shall advance with gaping mouth, and his lower jaw shall be against the earth, but the upper against heaven. He would gape yet more if there was more room for it. Fire blazes forth from his eyes and nostrils. The Midgard serpent shall blow venom, so that he shall sprinkle air and water, and he is very terrible, and shall be on one side of the wolf. Then shall the ash of Rodsgil tremble, and nothing then shall be without fear in heaven or on earth. The binding of the shamans by the Hecton, by the gods and their priests, which commenced with the victory of the Neolithic over the Paleolithic way of life, may perhaps be already terminating today in this period of the irreversible transition of society from an agricultural to an industrial base, when not the piety of the planter, bowing humbly before the will of the calendar and the gods of rain and sun, but the magic of the laboratory. Flying rocket ships where gods once sat hold the promise of the boons of the future. Could it be possible this old saint in the forest has not heard that God is dead? Nietzsche's word was the first pronouncement of the Promethean Titan that is now coming unbound within us for the next world age. And the priests of the chains of Zeus may well tremble, for the bonds are disintegrating of themselves. They're all correct about this late fall that we are deeply experiencing. I go on and write, it's over. The leaves have turned their auburn and gold and plum, and we all remain to see them quiver in this wind that brings with it sweet smells of decay and ashes. We sit around sipping our coffee and tea and telling each other that this is as it has ever been, season after season, age after age, but I know better. I have seen the other side, and it beckons me this gray morning as I sit and try to grasp my loneliness and my fear of losing and my cold emptiness. It beckons me. I have seen the other side with eyes I have purchased with my sorrow, sorrow for the things I have already lost. If it weren't for losing things in this life, I would have no life at all. I know this. Make no mistake about it. We are in an age of transition. And you and I need to work really hard at getting rid of our weight, our karmic burden that we have. You have been born, you have inherited karmic weight from your ancestors in your blood. I have been born with it, and I must deal with it. And then in my life, I have created karma with the mistakes that I have made, and I must deal with that. And you must deal with that. You must deal with it with clear eyes, without alcohol, without pain medicine, without pot, right? Without all the addictions that we have and all the burdens that we forget and we try to keep forgetting, and we numb ourselves to this world instead of facing the fears. And we'd rather just blame all of our problems on politics, or we'd like to blame it on our neighbor, or inflation, or migrants, or we need to face ourselves. And the people who are going to lead the way into this next age are the people who can deal with this stuff now and don't have to wait until the next life. So your spiritual journey is much more than just, hey, I want to be a better person, and I want to find God, and I want to be loving. This is about evolution. And this is about passing on, unburdened with our own past and my family's past, and being free and being able to live in the moment right now because I'm unencumbered with my karma that I've been born with and that I've created. So if you've listened this far into this unusual and honest video that I put out here, where I'm not really trying to sell my book, I'm trying to get you to wake up. Because this is about you. And this is about you waking up and dealing with your stuff now. And working while it's daylight now. And working while you can now. And making sure that you're not wasting your time here. You're waking up. And you're shedding your karmic burden. We all have to do it. Wherever you're at on your journey, know that there's a group here. We have a group on Discord, and it's growing. We have almost 100 folks on this Discord group. We meet on Saturdays. We're reading Maurice Nicole's The New Man right now. And there are good people on this Discord group. And if you want to talk to me, let's do it. Just know that there are people out there for you, and that you are important to this world. You are very, very important to this world. It's time to wake up, and it's time to realize that something new is happening. Blessings to you, no matter where you're at on your journey. See you soon.